G'day, it's FideMaster John Curtis, and what I want to bring to you on this occasion is a beginner's endgame lesson, and it's going to be so valuable for you that if you can remember the theme that's used in the endgame here, that I persevere with the, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing during the game. I persevere in what looks like a totally drawn game, and we get an absolutely brilliant ending, a brilliant finish that's really worth waiting for. So this game is 55 moves long, but please wait to the end and you will say, a masterpiece. And so now we're going to get into the game. This is for endings, for beginners and for experienced players alike, up to 2,000 rating. So here we go. Right, so I'm playing Manoel Mendes. He's 2,148. He's from Brazil. And he plays a reasonable game. He's quite good. Over 2,100, yes, you're a good player. So let's see what happens. B6, excellent move, no problems. We're only early into the opening. I played D5, a book move. He plays bishop B7, and his plan is to control the long diagonal and exert pressure on the E5 square. All very noble and very, very strong plans. So I played C6. I can see the arrow, the engine suggesting I should play bishop F5, but that's precisely what my plan is to do, to put my bishop on F5 or exchange my white squared bishop for the knight on F3. So I'm looking ahead, hoping he'll put his knight on F3 so I can rid myself of my bad bishop. Now, what I do here at this early stage of the game will predominantly follow right through to the end game and to the final conclusion. And you might say, well, hold on, you've only played 3 moves. And that's right, but I've got a long-term plan with my pawn phalanx, my pawn structure, right? So I've got my pawn structure here, and I'm going to plan and follow through with square control. And I'm going to teach you about white square control. So he plays F5, okay? And I play bishop there, and you think, well, hold on. If he simply plays bishop to E2, which is what he should play, well, then you get white gets a very, very strong and a better game, and white's better placed to win the game. And I agree with you completely. Let's see what the engine thinks. The engine agrees with me. Bishop E2 is correct. Okay, he plays knight to F3. Okay, so now I can take that knight anytime I like, so I don't take it just yet. I think, well, I'll wait till he does something. And he plays bishop E2. So now he's threatening knight to E4, right? And I won't get the opportunity to take his knight. So I take his knight now, okay, right? And he retakes with the bishop. And now I look at this position, I say, well, hold on a minute. He's got 2 bishops. It's a semi-closed position. And as we know in endgames, and I'm looking towards the endgame even now, this early stage, and we know in endgames that the open lines of attack are better for white if they've got the 2 bishops. So he gets a long-term pawn movement and an open game. The 2 bishops could prove deadly. So what do I play? I play queen c7. Immediately I prepare the engine says play e6, but I prepare e5. I want to go straight up and challenge him on the black squares. I really do. So let's see what he does. He should play d4. The engine's saying you should play d4, where he has full control of the position. Full control, right? But no, he doesn't. So he suffers. He suffers. And I get a star move, the best move. The engine says I have played the most powerful move possible. I've challenged the black squares. And the bishop here now hasn't really got the scope that he would have expected it to have. So he takes the pawn and I recapture. Star move again. Well, you've got to recapture, haven't you? So he plays bishop e2, best move. He retains his bishop, and now we have almost an open game. Almost. And I continue with my plan. I play bishop d6, right? Eyeing the king, eyeing the white king. We might not get there. He's a good player and he knows what he's doing. So c5, he should try to get these. Remember what I said to you about the endgame. Endgames, open positions are better for positions for white with the two bishops. So the engine's correctly saying, let's open up the games. The two bishops get fluidity, right? Okay, so they can maneuver on open lines. But he doesn't do it. So I castle. Engine says I should play knight here with the idea of knight there and ripping a bishop off. Ah, the engine's right. The engine's right. I castle, but it's a 5-minute game. You can see the times on the clocks, I hope. He's got 4 minutes and 22 seconds. I got 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Manoel. We'll call him Manoel. Right, so I play rook on the H file. I'm laughing here. Rook on the H file to F8. And I've got a star move for that move. Now, if you asked me if I thought that I would get a star move for that move, I would have said, you've got to be kidding. But my gut instinct, my experience told me that it's going to be very important that if I move my knight at any stage and get the opportunity to, that I want to get F5 in, right? And also that there's latent pressure on my F pawn. So if I want to play my knight back, I want to play knight E8 or something like that with the idea of F5 and try to close the position somehow, try to close it, trying to nullify his bishop's power, then I need my rook on F8. And I need my rook on the D file to put pressure on a possible D4 move, or rook on the D file to E8 move if the position presents itself. Okay, so he plays D4. And I straight away say, yo bayote, right? Right? I say because he's got a backward E-pawn. Now, the engine says it's excellent, but the engine did like queen to E1. Okay. So straight away now, I'm looking at how do I take advantage of a backward E-pawn. Okay. Right. There are technical problems here. If he can hold his E-pawn and get a C4 in, he would be winning the game. If he could hold his E-pawn and get an E4 in, he'd have a big advantage. So it's important for me to restrict his E-pawn as much as possible. So he played bishop to D3 star move. And I'm thinking, well, what do I do here? I certainly considered G6, but I didn't play it. I played queen A5. The engine gave me a star move for this move. I believed at this stage that it was a hustle move, right? So yes, I was trying to hustle my opponent to try to remove his white squared bishop, his black squared bishop, because then he would have trouble on the E file, permanent problem on the E file, right? I was also concerned about bishop to F5, pinning my knight, getting rid of one of my knights. And I didn't like that either, but I thought I have to do something in the position, so I played queen to A5. And the engine's saying the black's doing well because of the backward E pawn, right? And the inconsistency in white's play. Because the engine knows he should have played C4 earlier, and it's probably on the engine's mind, if the engine's thinking. Anyway, so he plays A6, star move. Now, the black queen's starting to get restricted. So what does the black queen do? Nothing. We move the bishop back to B8. It's a clearing move. The whole idea being we want to move our queen to C7 and give him a dirty big check down there, right? So when we played queen A4 with the idea of bishop A6, the idea had a dual plan. It had two plans. One, the bishop A6 idea, and two, the retreat of the bishop with the queen coming back, right, to reconfigure the bishop and the queen from, instead of the bishop being here and the queen behind it, we'll get the bishop here and the queen in front of it with the idea of the check. So he plays queen to F3 star move. So then I play queen to C7 star move back, threatening the check. He played queen to F4, best move. I took it off and he recaptured star move, best move. Okay. So now we get back to this position. This is a key position in the game. So what do? We've got to be careful of bishop F5. It's not really a threat so much, but because we're not worried if he takes it, we're more worried if he plays things like G4 and G5, right? So let's have a look and see what the engine thinks and what we played. So we played bishop D6. We should have, according to the engine, played knight here and threatened his pawn straight away, and with the idea of, if we play knight here, we could then play HF5, and then the purpose of this rook going here would be very clear indeed. Okay. Admittedly, he could try some nonsense, but that should be the proper plan. I missed it. Frankly, I just missed it. He should have played G4. You remember earlier I said G4 is the big problem for me with the spatial advantage and threatening G5. And then the bishops in. Remember what I said earlier about open positions for the bishops. Right? Okay, so I played G6. I should have played knight to H5 again. Right, but I didn't. And my position was flawed as a result. He played G3 and he should have played G4. So I played rook there, and again I missed knight to H5. So I haven't played it exactly well, right? He's made mistakes, I've made mistakes, but considering the restricted position that I was in, I'd say I made less mistakes than he. Position is equal according to the bar on the side of the board, and yet we still talk about an endgame. Well, this is called the middle endgame, and there's a lot of pushing and shoving and juxtapositioning going on with the pieces. And that's why knight to H5 was so important. And I missed it, right? Okay. And I look at it now and I kick myself. But considering the final outcome, and don't remember, go right to the very end of this video and you will see something so beautiful. If you appreciate chess and art, you're going to see something very special. Okay, king to F2. Right. Now what happens? We play H5. We try to oops, whoop. We play h5 and we try to restrict the g4 move and the expansion idea, right? Okay, we're trying to restrict it. We know that this pawn's a bit loose at the moment. The worst thing possible for me would be if he got a knight on there. I'd be lost. But the knight, fortunately, is here. And that gives me hope. So he plays bishop back, and still he's not reconfiguring his pieces correctly. He should have played king to f3 to hold the f pawn and then play g4. See, when he plays bishop c8, he holds the f pawn, but he doesn't threaten g4. And it's small things like this in the endgame that make the difference. So I played a6. Is that a good move? Well, the engine says it's excellent. Right? He played king to f3, and now I was concerned. I was just thinking, oh my God, g4 is coming in. How am I going to perform here? And so what I did was I played my bishop back. Bad move, inaccuracy. But frankly, I didn't know what to do. I had 3 minutes and 25 seconds. He had 2 minutes 42 seconds. Plenty of time on the clock for both players. And frankly, I thought I'd play a bullshit move. Anyway, he plays bishop d2. So I thought, well, I'll just threaten his pawn. And that was the point of my bishop moving back, just to go and attack his pawn and see what he might do. Right? Just little probing moves, if you can call them that. And he played bishop e3. And it's the best move on the board. Star move, he gets a star move. And I play bishop hits knight. And what I'm trying to do is, it's a probing move again. What I'm trying to do is, if I was allowed to take that knight and play knight e4, I would. Now he stops me. He plays a star move. So I go bishop to c2. I should go bishop to b3, according to the engine. He plays bishop to f7. He should be playing f5 and taking full advantage of my weakened pawn structure. So his endgame play is not good. So I play b5. And I'm trying to distract him on the queen side of the board because I know I'm losing on the king side. So he plays rook takes rook. And I think, oh, he's just happy with his position. He thinks he's got at least an even game. I played rook takes star move. And he thought, well, I'll just change all the pieces off and I've got an advantage with the two bishops if I can get the g4 move in. So we take that off and he takes back. And then we try a star move, and now we're headed towards c4. And this was the plan. This is my counter plan. Now, I've always said to my grasshoppers, I say, when you've got a black squared bishop, which I have, a black squared bishop, you put your pawns on white squares. That's exactly what I've done. All my pawns are on white squares. What else have I got? I've got 2 pawn chains, 2 pawn islands. I've got 1 pawn island here. That's a pawn island there. And that is a pawn island there. Okay, so I've got 2 pawn islands. And I would be so happy to exchange my knight for his bishop. His white bishop is probably his strongest piece. Why is it his strongest piece? Because his pawns are on black squares. You see? And so it's effective. It's very effective. And I want to nullify it, but I'm having trouble. So he played bishop to f2, another passive move, still neglecting g4. And I'm thinking, well, I would like to punish you for that. So I played king to d7, star move. Because I'm now trying to come in with my king, use it as a fighting piece, and believe me, you will see my king become king of the board, and you watch it happen. He plays g4. So I take it off, he takes back, and then I play knight to to E8. And you say, well, hold on, he's going backwards. Precisely, that's my plan. Go backwards to go forwards. Because I can see that what I really need to do is I need to occupy the black squares with my pieces, moving in between my pawns and try to get on white key squares to get outposts. And you'll see this happen. So he plays knight to E2, star move. It's the best move. F5 was an alternative. I liked his F5. Had he played it, I would have played G5. Okay, I would have pushed past and it probably would have been a draw. Okay, so I play knight D6. Okay, star move. Okay, so now what am I threatening? Well, I've got a knight here coming in, which would threaten his pawn. He would lose a pawn. So he must be panicking a little bit now, thinking, well, hold on. I thought I just had an easy game. I swapped rooks and did all those things. And now, knight there. I'm threatening his pawn, his little pawn on A3. And he plays bishop there, right? Now I'll go back here again. Wait a second. The engine's saying I should have played F5 and the engine's correct. But I thought I'd just threaten the pawn straight away. What have I got to lose? Just see what he does. And I thought if he would take my knight with his white square bishop, that would solve all my problems for the endgame. So I offered it to him. He played bishop C1, star move, best move. So I played F5. Okay, and the whole point is to nullify this bishop. And now you can see why he really needed to play F4 and G4 earlier, and he was slow in his uptake of how important it was to the endgame. He's not a master of the endgame, right? And I'm not either, because I should have played that knight to H5 move the engine suggested. And normally I wouldn't miss a thing like that, but I did. Anyway, we recapture with a pawn, star move, because we've got a bind now on the E4 square, right? We've got a bind on that square. And we're going to try to work the white squares against the black position. Now, king up. Here's where I said my king will be king of the board. And you look at this position, you say, well, hold on, that looks like a draw. Correct? You would say, well, that looks like a draw. And you'd be right. You'd be right. It does look like a draw and probably should be a draw. However, we don't muck around here on FM John Curtis Chess Channel. We've got more to show you because we promised you something special in the endgame. You can see black's got a slightly better position. So we play knight E4. Okay? Excellent move. Bishop D8 was the best move. Okay? He plays knight E2 star move. He's right in this game. He's holding his C pawn. He's holding his A pawn. And everything looks held and safe. So we play A5. A question mark. Why is it a question mark? It says bishop D8 was best. He played bishop C2. The engine said king G2. It says your bishop was already on a good square white pieces. You don't need to do anything else. And now I took the pawn off. And it says, excellent move, but bishop D8 was best. Perhaps I should have played A5, but the engine says it was good. He played, he took with the wrong pawn. He should take with the C pawn according to the engine, because they're back with the C pawn, right? And that way it eliminates his backward pawn. But then he's got 3 pawn islands, but the engine knows what it's doing. So I played bishop to D8. Now I'm not finished yet. This is, the brilliancy is yet to come. You would think, oh, well, we've only got a drawn position. But no, we've fought hard to get our pawns. See our pawns? On white squares. Now bishop, our fluid, powerful bishop, now finally coming into the game. engine says he should play king g2. So I play bishop to h4. Why? Because the bishop needs to penetrate to the back squares to start threatening him. He took the bishop off, a knight off, and now he's got a technical problem here. It's an inaccuracy. King g2 was the best, right? And he doesn't recognise it yet, but by God, he'll pay for it if he doesn't see it. He plays king e3. He just thinks, well, I'll just hold this position. It looks like a draw. How does black get in? Well, we play bishop e1, threatening his pawn. And now he's got to defend it. So we play king f6 star move. It's the only piece that's not working. And he plays king f3. So we play king g6 star move. He plays bishop, and he's missed the best move. He should have played the knight back. King goes up again. Remember, I said my king will be king of the board, king of the hill. Let's see what happens. He just thinks that, with my king here, black can't get close to the pawns. He can't get close, and he's right. Unless you've got a special move that will cause some problems. So I played bishop there just to see what he will do, basically, just a waiting move. He should have played knight checks, and that would have been a draw, okay? But I played king h4, and I prevented him doing that. And now he's got some technical problems. He played bishop to b2 star move. I played king up. And you think, well, hold on, how are you winning this by just moving your king down a H file? Well, you'll find out. So he played bishop to a1, thinking, well, it looks like a draw. My king's got your king cut off. My pawn on c3 is defended by 2 pieces, and it looks like an easy draw. So I played bishop there to e8. Why? I expected him to repeat. He's got 19 seconds left, and now I give him a check. Now, where does he go? Okay, he plays king to e3. And so what do? Bang! King of the hill. And now what does he do again? Shortage of time. He plays bishop there, and bang! Checkmate. Yes, we didn't just win the endgame. We never needed to get to the endgame. We checkmated him with a bishop and a knight. You know something? We could even take our bishop off the board here, and it'd still be checkmate, wouldn't it? Still checkmate, yeah, even without that bishop. But the bishop did help us get there. And did you like the way the bishop was rerouted from here to here and all the way down there? And the bishop was able to do that because, as I said to you before, grasshoppers, in chess, you put your pawns on the opposite colour to your bishop so your bishop can stay mobile. Now you remember when this bishop was going backwards and forwards here all the time, it was because his pawns were on the wrong colour squares, right? So he hadn't looked towards the endgame correctly, right? And so that's why we came about to get this final position here, this lovely checkmate, and frankly, it's one of the prettiest checkmates I've seen for a while in an endgame. But I hope you appreciated this. Thumbs up if you liked the video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get more notifications and more videos to come. More good endgame videos for beginners, more good videos focusing top grandmasters and how they play chess, and also videos where people come into my Twitch live TV chess channel and play me games, subscribe to my channel, and I highlight their achievements on YouTube and even create videos of them playing the game they love. So until next time, it's FideMaster John Curtis from Australia saying goodbye for now, and I'll catch you in my next YouTube video. Bye.